Hello, everyone, and welcome to LFG. I'm Ian Horn, joining you from Money2020. By the time you see this, the show will most likely be over, but it's a lively couple of days, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Paul Foster, Director of Global Payment Partnerships at GoCardless. And you've broken some interesting news this week, haven't you, Paul? You want to tell us all about it?
So we're really excited with the launch of the UK Payment Initiative and bringing recurring pay by bank to the market. It's been a long time, and we're really excited to finally have it live.
Great stuff. And let's get some context on this, because the UK Payment Initiative has been bubbling away for a while. Now it's live. What's the reason this has been brought in for those who aren't aware?
Yeah, so there's probably three things to highlight here. One is to provide a genuine alternative to cards and card duopoly. So these cards really align to the account-to-account elements of the national payment vision. There's 84% of retail consumer transactions that still go through cards, and it costs merchants 1.5 billion a year.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of scope to improve that for them. The second part to that is really around securing payment sovereignty in the UK. So we have a critical payment infrastructure, and a lot of that's been going on overseas rails. So this brings back into UK's control. And then the third is really accelerating adoption of pay by bank generally. So we've had it for one-off payments, so this is now bringing it to the recurring use case.
So when you say the duopoly, you're obviously talking about, Visa and MasterCard. They're obviously running a large percentage of the UK's payments. So this sovereignty play, talk me through it a bit more and how it will basically bring a bit of economic control back to the UK and perhaps to the UK initially, but also Europe is looking to go follow a similar path, right?
Yes, exactly. So you've got Wero in Europe, which is really being positioned to be exactly that, to create an account-to-account platform for domestic payments. This provides the UK equivalent. So it's really important for us to have that control over the national infrastructure, and that's what it brings to us. So it moves people away from having to use a card on file to being able to use their bank account, not just for, as I say, the one-off payments, but also recurring.
Yeah, great stuff. And you're talking about that 1.5 billion saving for merchants, which obviously is a great thing. I'm also aware that one of the barriers to open banking right now is getting merchants on board with pay by bank. So how are you convincing merchants to get on board with the system besides mentioning the cost benefit?
Yeah, so I think with this, it's really finding the right use cases. So this initial launch of the recurring pay by bank is aimed at utility companies, financial services, charities, and government, and those sectors that have implicit consumer protection. So within that, direct debit's always been a key payments use case. And they've had to find other alternative payment methods for maybe vulnerable customers, for those, if you take the energy sector, for example, you've got your smart meters, but you're still paying overbalance in the summer in the UK, and then underbalance in the summer and overbalance in the winter. So actually what you can now do is you could make that real-time payments to align to your monthly bill and give people better control over their monthly spend.
Yeah, it's really simple stuff, isn't it? People actually paying the money they owe rather than paying a generic amount. It's a step change, but it's one of these things that seems shouldn't feel revolutionary, but I guess it is an important change and a step in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. And I think especially at the moment, people are much more conscious with their how they use their money and how it works for them. And just, again, having that control is a very different concept than they've had in the past.
Yeah, and obviously, I talked about merchant adoption. Consumer adoption, of course, is the other really crucial part of this. What barriers have you faced so far in getting people to getting comfortable with account payments?
It's really just making it people using it, right? So contactless had that sort of TFL moment, which really opened up everybody to use it. What we need is the same equivalent in the pay by bank arena for people to use it on a regular basis, be comfortable with it, to understand it, and to then use it for both one-off payments and recurring.
Yeah, got you. So we need another Olympics, is what you're saying.
That would be great. I enjoyed the London Olympics for sure.
Yeah, and obviously you're with GoCardless. Can you talk me through GoCardless's role in all of this?
Yeah, so we've been a key supporter of open banking and pay by bank from the beginning. So we were initially way back in the FCA sandbox when this was first being developed as a concept. And we are really delighted to be one of the founding shareholder firms for the UK Payment Initiative, which launched yesterday. So for us, we see this as being a critical part of the next evolution of payments.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to go back to the point we was raising about customer adoption. Are there any kind of misconceptions that you're running into? And actually merchant adoption too, when it comes to pay by bank? Obviously, it's a new method of payment. And that can be scary to people just for the fact that it's new, right? Is there anything you would want to clear up and make people more comfortable about?
Yeah, I think one of the areas, maybe from a payer perspective, is consistency of the payment journey. So right now, our payment companies like GoCardless, we can control how it looks when the merchant is signing the payer up. We can control the endpoint of what it looks like at the end of transaction. And in the middle is there where they go through their online banking platforms to credentially authenticate the payment. And that looks like one version for one bank. It looks like another version for another. So I think bringing some consistency into that, refining some of the messaging for that would really help to evolve people's understanding of it and also how much they use it.
Absolutely. And let's look further ahead. UK Payments Initiative, you were talking about the current rollout is for, targeted at a specific segment of users. What's next and what else can we expect on the roadmap?
Yes, we're really delighted that now this has been launched, we can focus on what the next era is. So as I mentioned, there's the first iteration, which is those selective use cases. After that, we are looking hopefully in the next 9 to 12 months, bring this to everybody, to all types of merchants. And I think there's a lot of open opportunities. So if I think about some of the e-commerce use cases where traditionally you've had a card on file, you've had problems with recurring payments being failed or your card details expiring, etc. There's a lot of open opportunity for this to fit into that space.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to let the camera roll. This seems to be when we film here. The bin always comes past when I'm here, which is great. Paul, my apologies for that. Next time I'll get a studio and not have the place next to the bin. Let me just ask you a few questions as Paul Foster, moving away from the news story. Money 2020 obviously is overwhelming, big experience, a lot of fun. What for you is the most exciting fintech story at the moment that's going on, besides your own?
I think for me, the thing I've really looked to try and learn more about is the agentic AI.
Yes.
So, I mean, for GoCardless, it's actually an area we've signed up to an FCA sandbox on that as well. We think that's, again, another future opportunity in the payment space and in the evolution. But just learning how other people are using it, it's obviously conceptual right now rather than actually being in practice. But as people are building out their designs, understanding how that's going to work for the payer, all of the elements, I guess, that we've been talking about for open banking for some time and how that works in an agent environment.
Yeah, great stuff. And the other thing I keep asking people, what's the overhyped thing? Because every year there's a few buzzwords. Sometimes they're legit, sometimes they're overhyped. What would you say is the kind of the confusing thing here?
I'm going to get in trouble with any answer I give.
Please do that. Yeah, even better.
I think for me, as much as AI is important, it's also overhyped in reality because it feels as though it's just a term that's thrown at everything. Like we've been using data science for a long time in how we process payments. If we called it AI, I think it would have had a much different version to that. So it's really just understanding, okay, how am I going to use AI to benefit people as opposed to how do I just put AI into my platform because I want to use the website.
Honestly, you're the third person I've asked this. Everyone has described AI as the advantage. They've also described AI as the overhyped thing. Anyway, the bin man is gone. I think that's time to wrap up the interview. Why does that always happen? Anyway, Paul, thank you so much for talking us through the latest initiative. Thank you for talking us through your views on Money 2020. It's been a pleasure. And thank you everyone for listening in.
Raising funds, speaking to Claude.